Hey, what's up, hello, Futurecasters? Welcome to the November astrology forecast with me, Maria Elena, and my wonderful friend, Mariana Ramos, kind of more than Marte. We're doing it again.
We're doing it again because last time was fun.
It was so much fun. I got good feedback too. People were like, I'm learning a
Yeah,
lot. And I was
I
like,
love
hell
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
I'm learning a lot.
So, mhm.
I'm learning a lot too. All of this. Well, for me, it's like super
I'm
grateful.
yeah, I've been learning a lot too. This has been really good. I am often a very scatterbrained person, very airy, not always focused on the details. I don't have a ton of Earth in my chart. I'm trying to think about what I have that's Earth, and I think it's just my midheaven with Uranus and Neptune right there. So don't have a ton of focus on fine details. So having to go through and like actually look at all the transits and write it all down and then being able to go back and be like, oh yeah, what did happen when that was happening cosmically has
Yeah,
been nice.
yeah. It was a nice look back. Um, I don't have a lot of Earth. I mean, my Virgo rising is probably my most grounding feature.
That's
But
like an earth rising. Like that's pretty
That's
earthy.
it. The only thing I have that's earth-wise, like I have no Taurus. I have no stability. I think we are of the same generation where we have the Uranus and Neptune conjunction in Capricorn, and that's in
Yeah.
my fifth house.
And where's your Mercury at, Virgo
My
rising queen?
Mercury's in Pisces in the seventh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not super grounded
I just saw
there.
this meme that was like, I'm a Mercury Pisces. No, I don't know what no, I will not explain what I just said because I don't know what I just
I do not know what I just
said. It's so true.
Oh
That
my
being
gosh.
said, I do thank my Virgo rising for like the attention to detail and the super analytical. That's the thing about Virgo though, right? Like, yeah, it's an earth sign, but it's up here, it's in the mind. It's in the head. So it's very bringing it to the body is it's almost the medicine to Virgo, right? Bringing it to the
Mm-hmm.
body, the grounding that very airy nature of Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Uh so and then but I think all the fire, I have a lot of fire in my chart, really keeps me in the like the here and now. Like looking back, I was like, "Oh my God, that's right. I did do that." Uh
Yeah.
yeah, so it was nice to look back and kind of
Yeah.
put things together.
So I want to talk a little bit about I want to try to get us concise today because we love to chat forever. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna aim for like 45 minutes on October, 45 minutes on November. Even
like
less on October, maybe. I just do want to do a little teensy bit of a retrospective, taking always and forever taking every page that I can out of Chris Brennan and Austin Coppock's books. Shout out to our teacher, Austin Coppock, and just everyone's teacher, Chris Brennan. I really like the way they have been doing the like retrospective in their astrology forecasts of like what done did happen in October. So I took some notes based on what I observed, and I will say that in general, when I'm doing these astrology forecasts and retrospectives, I it's it's easier for me to talk about what's happening to me personally and occasionally bringing it into the global landscape. This is not the place to get your integrated astrology news. There are really good places to get your astrology news. The Astrology Podcast with Austin Coppock and Chris Brennan, they do a really good job of paying attention to the headlines. I'm doing my darndest to pay attention to the headlines and what's happening. I tend to keep it a little more local into the United States and Arizona and Tucson, where I live. Um, but I just want to like caveat that because there's a few things that I will touch on that were like larger headlines. But I don't trust myself to be aware enough of all of the headlines and also good enough at the astrology to present that to y'all who are listening. So know that personally, I am absolutely keeping up with the news, keeping up with what's hip hop happening in this horrifying hellscape that we're living in. Uh, but it might not all make it into this because that's a lot of responsibility that I'm not ready to take on. How do you feel about that,
I
Mariana?
I 100% agree. I will also just go ahead and be super transparent. If it's not like a major headline, I am I'm somebody that's very afflicted by the state of the world as a whole. I'm a little bit less like I always say like I'm sympathetic, I'm not empathetic one on one. Like your shit does not affect me. But if I watch the news, I get depressed. I'm like there it's just dark, right? There's good news, there's good news. There's positive news channels that you can also follow. But given the state of the world, like yeah, I might not be up on every headline. But I am also watching things, from Colombia's standpoint, which God dang it, we've been in the news lately. It's hard to avoid all of that sort of thing. But yeah, I also tried to attack it with like a really personal lens, a really personal scope, which I think is important. And I think we leave the experience to the experts. Chris Brennan and Austin have an army of people sending them, research and headlines and things. And that's like what they do very well. So
And they have like a strong like I know Chris and then folks who are like you said sending things in like have backgrounds in historical research and things like that. Um so yeah, there's places to access that and
yeah,
that's
yeah, there's
not
punches.
here.
That being said, you know, I know what's going on this side of the world. I know what's going on right now in the Caribbean. I know what's going on, sadly still in Gaza. But yeah,
Yeah. And we're going to touch on a couple of things with that or at least that's I've taken some notes
yeah,
that relate. So just jumping right on it. I mean, how was October for you in general? Like we started off with that really heavy like air trine, moved into just now in the last couple of days have moved into this grand water trine that's going to continue through all of November. Overall, how was your October?
I feel like my October went at warp speed. I think the eclipses that we faced in September, they have a way of like almost slowing things down. Like September felt really long for me, and October felt super jolt lightning quick. October was a very social month for me. Lots of reunions with friends, loved ones. I saw my sister for the first time in like 4 years. My mom, and my grandma and myself reunited for the first time in nearly 20 years. So that was all really healing, really nice. I also, though, came across a lot of theft. Like, yeah, that this Mercury Mars conjunctions, I was telling you last night, I'm really looking at them because I'm like scared. I'm a little scared. That being said, it was very collaborative, friendly month. I learned a lot. I really felt that air trine. I really felt that air trine. I just felt like the whole month was buzzing. If I could sum it down to one word, October was buzzing for me. What about you?
That buzz for me felt like a lot of anxiety for a lot of
Oh,
the
yeah.
month. So much anxiety. I was like there just like the start of the month. I mean, we opened the month with that Mercury square Jupiter and the moon conjoining Pluto. And like the moon conjoins Pluto every month, but to have it on the first of the month felt like relevant. It was like the inception chart for the month had the moon and Pluto together. And so of course that was the day that the US government shut down, which I just think is interesting. And then like going into like that first week. So on October 3rd, the new Taylor Swift album dropped. And I'm going to mention that because I'm a big Swiftie. And if you want to hear me like go hardcore into all my Swiftiedom, please go check out our friend Tasha Begg's show, The Pop Astrologist,
So
on YouTube, because I've done multiple episodes with Tasha now on Taylor Swift and the new album. Uh, and we really got into like the way that there was such a mixed response to that. Like it felt like the entire internet exploded and it was either like we love it or we absolutely hate it. And that felt so like Mercury opposite Chiron. It was Mercury opposite Chiron and it was Venus conjunct the South Node when she dropped that album. Whew, the people were like nitpicky and like highly critical and like opening these like really big chironic wounds. Really interesting. But for myself personally, all everything that was happening astrologically was also hitting me really personally. So Chiron right now is really close to my ascendant in Aries and Venus on the South Node. Like I'm Venus ruled. I have my sun is in Libra and I have a big stellium in Libra. So all of that, I actually had to postpone recording an episode with Tasha because it was like literally as Venus and the South Node were coming together. The night before, I'd gotten a really bad migraine. I'd had a migraine the night before. I like just, I sat up out of bed, like thought I was gonna puke. Like it was this whole thing. And then the next day when I sat down to record with Tasha, I before we even hit record, I was just like, hey, I just want to let you know, like I'm in a really bad mood today. Like I'm here for this. I'm excited to have this conversation, but I'm in such a bad mood. And sweet Tasha, so empathetic, she's like, oh hey, like, do you want to talk about it? Like, I'm here for you. And I started crying. I just started crying and I was like, I'm so sorry. I just don't think I could do this today. And she's like, let's look at the chart. And she's like, Venus is conjoining the South Node right now. And I was like, I can't do.
sweet
So
home. She's such a Cancerian force. I
she
adore.
is. She's so lovely. So the first week was just like a little gnarly until we got past that Aries full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt so migraine was another one. I've had
Mm-hmm.
terrible migraines all month. Um, they don't have it here, but my sister brought me some Excedrin from the States, and that's been. I'm like, oh my god, I've taken a lot of Excedrin.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, that's wild that it had to like come from another country for you.
it had to come from far, far away. I've Venus in the South Node for me, honestly. I kind of like I kind of ditched it was in the first house for me, right? So the South Node is currently in my first house. So I'm like, I feel like I'm shedding many layers.
Oof. Oof.
I feel like I'm shedding many layers, but that's exciting for me. And Venus being right there, like I got I got like the best haircut I've gotten in to recent memory. I got like new clothes. My sister always brings me her hand-me-downs. I have no original style, my sister. And but I went shopping with her and I got a few things of my own and it felt I don't know, I felt really good. I felt really attractive while Venus was in my first house. And then while it was conjoined the South Node, I like started going to therapy and I really wanted to work through some of like my attachment issues in relationships in regards to like how I come up emotionally. Um, this is probably TMI, but like I don't know, like I feel like I'm ready for my next relationship. Like I feel like I'm ready for like my next like big love. It would be numero tres in my life. Yeah.
Calling it in now, calling it in
Calling it next
now.
application.
How exciting.
So I was like, let's go to therapy and really just like talk through some of this shit before I really do bring someone else into my love sphere. So yeah, I don't know. Venus in the South Node for me wasn't as terrible as I thought it would be. I'll say
See,
that.
there's a big difference between first house, what's happening in the first house for you, and the sixth house for me.
No, huge, huge.
Yeah, huge
I'm,
difference.
I'm glad you're well, like health wise, because that's yeah.
Yeah, I was worried about some like maybe getting a little sicky, but it was what really happened was a lot of there was just a lot of big feelings. It was also like opposite my Saturn and Pisces in the 12th. So there's this dichotomy between the mental health in the 12th house and the physical health in the 6th house.
Yeah.
And there was like a lot of anxiety in the body. There was just like big feelings. It's been a really emotional month because of some things that the eclipses kicked off and started. So, we had the eclipses happen in September and like you said, uh, the impact of those continues to be felt. So it's like the results started happening throughout October. But one of the like things that one of the little things that really made a big impact on my month. So we had my birthday, of course, was on the 8th. I had my 30th birthday. And there was very much so around that like October 7th, October 8th, we had that Venus sextile Jupiter. Uh and then Venus is in her fall in Virgo. So it was like an unhappy Venus making a mildly positive aspect to a very happy Jupiter. But then Saturn was also like kind of in that mix as well. Like Venus was then going to oppose Saturn. So this is all happening in like my 6th, 12th, and 4th. And the 6th house thing that really came forward, it wasn't health stuff, it was like work stuff. And I had this, I guess, like long standing issue that I didn't realize was an issue finally got resolved. So I almost like randomly was called to, or just like driven to check in on my massage license. I'm a massage therapist, and in the United States, in every state that you massage in, you have to hold a valid license to be able to do that. And you renew your license every 2 years, and I've been a massage therapist for 2 years, so it's coming up time to renew my license. And it was, I think, the 7th. It was October 7th, the day of the Venus sextile Jupiter. I was like, oh, you know what? Like, let me check in. I need to start the renewal process because I had been told since I received my license, like you can go online, look up your license info. It shows you your expiration date. So for the last 2 years, my expiration date has always said that it was in the beginning of January. And coming as we're getting closer to the end of this year, I was like, okay, let me start that process. Let me start attending to these little details, very like Venus and Virgo in the 6th house. Let me attend
Yeah.
to these little details of like what needs to be done to ensure that I can continue doing the practical aspect of my job. Uh, so in doing that, I felt the presence of Saturn, I will say. I felt the presence of that Venus starting to come into an opposition with Saturn, because I discovered that that expiration date was wrong. What it said for 2 years has been totally wrong. And my true expiration date actually was always supposed to have been my birthday. So the day after I started looking into all of this stuff, thinking I had 2 months to get everything,
Oh my
uploaded and squared away. I'd
gosh.
thankfully already done all of you have to do continuing education to maintain your license. I'd already done all of my continuing education. I had all of that like ready to go, but it was like last minute discovering there for a period of time I thought I was going to have to like literally call out of my job and not go to work for a few days. It was like you were going to have to suddenly stop working. But the sextile to Jupiter came through for me, and I was able to like get someone at the board, the Arizona massage board, on the phone. They were able to like quickly rectify the issue. They like put me to the front of the line to make sure everything got renewed
Wow.
and squared away. So it was like this I spent the whole morning like crying. I was like at my job in between clients crying, like, I'm gonna have to go. I'm not gonna be able to work. I don't know how long it's gonna take. Like I was blubbering for the entire like first week of October, apparently. But that Jupiter came in to be like, no, no, no. Good luck is here. You are supported. It's gonna be okay. And then it was all okay. But it was a very stressful like day because it was like you have to get this stuff done in the next couple of hours and then like we'll be able to process it. Yeah, it was stressful, but it all worked out.
I love that higher calling sort of, like hand of God
Mm-hmm.
motivation. Because that's also very much Jupiter. And like the putting you in front of the line and all the other good luck stuff kind of like is what people always associate with Jupiter. But like whenever we're really called to do something, when we answer to that higher calling, when we act out of religious faith, spiritual faith, whatever it is, like that's Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Because
the
I
other.
could have just like not looked into that too. If I had not looked into it
Yeah.
before my birthday, we
Yeah.
would have had an even bigger issue.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So Jupiter
so
was like, Venus and
beautiful.
Jupiter was like, hey, hey, you
I
have a detail to attend to.
I felt very much like um I don't know, like so for the full moon, it was eliminating my eighth house and then by default my second house. And I just like that first week of October, I spent a lot of time with my family and with, in celebration and kind of just like that mm, the theme of like inheritance. Not financial, not financial. But like what our families passed down to us was really highlighted. Um, there was this instance, none of them are gonna listen to this, so this is fine. There was this
Spill the
instance,
tea.
my sister's does not really care for astrology, and my mom doesn't speak English. So now there's this instance, well, I'll keep it light. Where my sister and my mom got kind of into it and my mom said something and my sister's boyfriend is here, and so she's like presenting us her boyfriend and he's such a cool guy. It's a Sagittarius sun and she's a Virgo sun. And I was like, you want her? Oh, you have the patience of a saint, Manji. And yeah, there was just this like instance where they got into it, my mom and my sister, and my mom was like embarrassed that happened in front of my sister's, boyfriend, soon to be fiance. And I was like, what's wrong? I was working on the astrology co-op presentation, not paying attention. I was like, what's wrong? And my mom tells me, she's like, oh, I don't want him to see us like this. He's gonna think badly of us. Or I don't want him to see all of us. Like, I don't want him to see this side of your sister's family. And I was just like, but she does. I was like, it's important to her to be able to confide in her husband and have somewhere to like, go to after. Our family's very intense and also has been very toxic in the past. I was like, why wouldn't you want her to have a husband that she can like run to and be safe with, And I was like, why are you so concerned with what he thinks about us? Like, what have you done that makes you so self-conscious about that, right? You're a pretty solid person, mom. I don't think that there's anything to worry about. I don't think he's gonna think, what's he gonna think of us? I was like, nothing, like nothing. And if he does, then that speaks really poorly of him. And, and a lack of understanding for family dynamics. But I don't think he does. And in that thought, I was like, oh gosh, I see that in my grandma. I see that. Oh my God, what will he think of us? I see it in my mom. And I was just like, I recommended that she does like a family constellation thing. Cause I was like, you need to heal that. I
Yeah.
don't want to pass that down to my children. I don't want my sister to pass that down to her children. I'm sure she doesn't want to either. And so for me, like the thought of what we inherit from our families, be it a mentality, be it a lump sum of cash, um, just like really protecting my boundaries with that and also trying to like let it be known to like the universe, just like, whoa, I really don't want that. Shortly after I started therapy. So that was, I think, a lot of part of like the full moon activation, resourcing myself from the second house with a therapist, second house in Libra, so very one-on-one work. Um, and yeah, for me, the Venus after that, when, she was sextiling Jupiter, it was still like just a lot of beautiful dinners, drinking, really bonding with my sister, like just nurturing, my family bonds and dynamics. That was like the whole first week of October for me, all the way up until the Venus opposition with Saturn, which was like the day my sister left. And I had a hangover from hell, another migraine. And I was starting to prepare for like a more my October was very social, first with family and then with friends. So I've been really overly stimulated ever since.
Lots going on, lots going on. And then we got to that second week of October, and if anyone listened, if for those who are listening, if you were, oh my God, words. For those who are listening, if you had listened to the October forecast, you'll remember that I was like, October 13th and 14th, like there's a really interesting, like, big activation going on. We had this, like, kite configuration with when Venus moved into Aries, which, like, I was happy that Venus was out of Virgo. Venus in Aries is also not the happiest, but I was happy that Venus was out of Virgo.
Venus moved into Libra.
Oh my God, I'm looking at my notes and I typed them wrong. Thank you. Yeah, because Aries is what comes after Virgo. I was thrilled that Venus moved into Libra and out of Virgo. Thrilled for that.
Yes.
And so it was funny when I was looking back at notes, I was like, oh, like I had said, I'm pretty sure like something major is going to happen like the 13th, 14th. What was it? And I just I Google searched like headlines October 13th. Because I knew vaguely what was going on, but I'm, again, like not always focused on like the exact date. The details, the
Yeah.
little details slip my mind. And I was like, oh, October 13th was that whole day where the remaining hostages in Palestine were released in exchange for that 2,000 Palestinian hostages in Israel. Trump visited Israel and they announced a ceasefire on
Yeah.
that day. As we know now, and as I think we all kind of suspected at the time, like that, ceasefire is not really a real thing. But there was this huge conversation, major development in what is going on in Palestine and Israel and with American involvement. And all of that came down and like actually occurred right when that major kite configuration, we had Venus, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and the moon all in this really intense alignment that I was like, it's revolutionary. It's all pointing to Uranus. It's very dramatic. And it was a very dramatic day.
It was all for show, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
or at least Israel's intentions were all uh, performance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I look at the in that grand trine in that kite, Venus is opposing Neptune, right? And then with like Pluto and the moon involved, it's all the veils. And yeah, earnest, shocking revelation news. It came out of left field. Like no one expected that to happen anytime soon. And then of course, like I think of the false king, the false prophet, Trump taking all that sort of credit for then to for Netanyahu to later completely violate the ceasefire. And it's like I remember seeing the Time magazine cover when that came out, and it was like even our source of news has been like I mean, at the very least, that source of news has been compromised. They're like glorifying Trump, and I was like, I feel we called it early. I feel like we called it a little too early. I think we need to get Neptune out of here before we can actually say that this ceasefire is uh for real. And here we are in hindsight 2020, right?
Here we are. And there's so much with Neptune in Aries. Austin Coppock has said this a bunch as we've been discussing Neptune in Aries of like the fog of war. Neptune
Yeah.
being fog, Neptune being like these illusions, this kind of confusion, like unsure of the details. That's also very much contributing to me being a little foggy with Neptune in my first house. But it's absolutely that fog of war of like we're kind of concealing facts and trying to put up these illusions and no one's really sure what's true and what's not and what's happening and
And
what's real and like what is just fake and it's going to be taken back, all of this. So
yeah.
that was a big example that day of that kind of like veil illusion being drawn over folks' eyes on a global scale. And now, where we are today, I guess we should mention that we're recording this on October 30th, the morning of October 30th, morning for me, Pacific time, midday for you in Central Time. Um, that Neptune has moved back into Pisces now. So we're back in
Yeah.
the era of Neptune and Pisces. It's
Yeah.
back in. But before Neptune moved into Pisces and before the sun moved into Scorpio, we did have first, we had a Mercury Mars conjunction in Scorpio, which I think you're excited to talk about. And then we had the Libra new moon, which was also the same day that Mercury entered its pre-retrograde shadow.
Mhm.
So a lot started to kind of shift and change in this second half of October. So Mercury Mars conjunction in Scorpio. What does
Let's
that
talk.
mean to you, friend?
So, okay, so I just like to before I talk about my own news, like I think that we saw it as well in the headlines when the heist for the Louvre, right? Like
Oh my gosh, what day was that?
that was October 19th.
I didn't write that down. I forgot to put that in my notes.
I that was
The
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 fall because I
Louvre
was
heist was
experiencing
so fun.
so Venus coded. So
So
let's
Venus
feel some chill.
coded.
But also, Mars, yeah, it's for me, I was completely distracted with the Astro Co-op Come As You Are conference. That was like my grand air trine, like very mentally stimulated. I was staying up all the night, like researching my topic, which was exploring grief in the birth chart. And
Can we just give you your flowers for a
I'm
hot second that Mariana just presented at her first astrology conference it was on the eighth house and surrendering, correct?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I dove into that being like my area of expertise. I really started asking myself about how to locate the way that we grieve in the chart and how to help a grieving client. And
Mm.
then but then I of course being an eighth houser, one topic led to another, and I had to like really examine grief culturally and historically and as a concept and as the etymology of it and everything. And so first I had to like completely destigmatize grief and bring it into a more general lens and a more psychology forward lens. And then I was like, oh yeah, and this is where you can find it in the chart.
And also the astrology.
And thank you. Yeah, yeah. So I was super busy mentally, very mentally stimulated there. I remember I made a story, so I was looking back. I was like, I'm a little espresso, I'm a little depresso. Like it's just I'm both right now. And it's also it's a very dark topic. So I was
That's
really
so
excited.
Mars in the eighth. Mars in the eighth. It's like, let's go be sad.
Let's go be sad.
Let's
Yeah, well, I
let's
mean,
go be
my
sad.
my Mars is in Cancer, so my Mars is always let's go be emotional. But yeah, I was just very focused on that, very mentally stimulated on that. The Louvre heist happened the day that I was presenting. And so I was like, I woke up and I saw the news and I was like, oh no. And then I presented and so this all happened on the same day. Check this out. I present and it was a virtual conference 9 to 5. It was the whole day. But after I presented, my mom and grandma called me and I'm trying to find them an apartment. They're currently at an Airbnb. Um and it was a Sunday. Sundays here are very for family. They're like, honey, we have no fucking clue what you do, but like we'd love to celebrate you. Come over. Grandma's cooked. We want to celebrate your conference. We're so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, I'm there. I felt I was on a high. I was on a high. I was like really excited. And I remember I got to dinner or whatever. I'm explaining to them about my presentation. We're done eating. My mom brings out a little cookie for dessert, and they start acting really weird. And I was like, "What's up?" And my mom was like, "Should we tell her now?" And I was like, "Tell me what? Tell me now. Yeah, tell me." I hate that shit. I hate that shit. And they're like, "Honey, your grandma's phone got hacked and somebody stole the equivalent of $2,000 from."
No.
And I was
The grandma heist.
like, guys, that was
The grandma heist.
like, when the fuck did this happen? They're like, well, technically it was yesterday, but you've been so nervous about your presentation that we didn't
Oh.
tell you. And I was like, how did this happen? And they tell me that, somebody called my grandma pretending to be, my grandma's 85. She's a Scorpio. We're lucky that she's so alive and well. Like I, we're always like clapping her on because she's there. She's mentally, she's very
Mm-hmm.
there. She has a high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I
Mhm.
her genes, you know, but
That
like,
sounds just like my grandfather.
yeah,
I only
and
have to take one pill. Everything
I
else is
know
just vitamins.
my grandma's like, she's like, my whole life, she's like, she's got good vision. Like, it's crazy how healthy she is. And, you know, but she's a Scorpio, and I feel like she was very afflicted by the Mars and Mercury
Mm,
conjunction in Scorpio. And like, you know, Mercury is a thief. He's a trickster.
mhm.
He's a little bit more like sleight of hand than like outright heist. But that is like where Mars comes in, right? And gives it that influence of like, no, let's do something a little bit more permanent, a little more evil, a little more conniving.
Yeah,
Um,
Mars brings the chainsaw.
yeah. So they called her from a cell phone company,
Oh,
communication,
yeah.
pretending to be her phone carrier, talking
Mhm.
about we're about to upgrade you to 5G. And she fell for it. She downloaded an app. They
Mm.
hacked her phone. They went into her bank. They made a Zelle transfer. My mom, you know, gets an email like, "Oh, you just made this transfer." She's like, "The fuck I did." So yeah, like frozen bank accounts. We froze everything. Um, it was just really tough because like that was part of the money that we had for like a new apartment.
Yeah.
So I from a really high high to like a really low low. And I was just like, those people, whoever steals from old ladies,
It's so evil. It's so
so evil.
evil. And it's prevalent
Also,
everywhere.
yeah, and like if you think a Scorpio isn't gonna like get their revenge, like you're so wrong. So I don't know. We yeah, dealt with that. Lots so I've
Oh
just been
my
like really
gosh.
wary of like thieves
And
and this
liars.
and
Mercury and Mars is
liars
such a,
and
because like
liars.
that whole scam is very much about lying and manipulating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did it behind the veil of technology, right? Like
Hmm.
Scorpio is not a sign that's gonna like hold you at gunpoint.
Hmm.
It's gonna do it behind
The
the
little
veil. Gonna
sneaky sneak attack.
yeah.
Ugh. Poor grandma. I'm sorry that that happened. That really sucks.
It's okay. I told her, you know, I told her, I was like, do not answer if you don't know the number, do not answer the phone. I don't care if they tell you it's me. I don't care if they tell you that I've been kidnapped. We made a secret
Yeah.
word. We were like,
Oh, good.
I
Oh,
don't say this,
good.
it's not me. Yeah. Yeah. We really tried to like arm her with that knowledge and
And she's a
yeah,
Scorpio, so
yeah. Right after that,
now that she knows that that stuff can
we had the
happen,
new moon
she's
in
like,
Libra, and you know, again, I felt the
sorry, I think I lost you there for a second.
yeah, you're frozen. Okay, there you are. Okay.
Oh, hello, I'm back. So we had the new moon in Libra, and you really felt that? Or am I
Yeah,
still
I
frozen?
really
There's-
hold on one sec. I'm gonna reconnect my Wi-Fi. 1 second. Okay. There we go. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So, oh no. Here comes Mercury retrograde. It's doing its okay.
Yeah, back.
Well,
I
I
gotcha.
really, I really felt that because, um, you know, I've been working through all these things in therapy, and we're talking about like how the theme. This is for all. I don't gatekeep. I don't gatekeep shit. But like, ladies, you're in the same boat as I am. A really good tip from my therapist was like, Mariana, you need to stop choosing men that aren't choosing you.
Mm,
And it's like
mm,
I feel attacked and being love me and emotionally unavailable man is a challenge.
mm,
So all this thing happened with my grandma, the theft, the Louvre, the presentation, and I I I just been feeling really raw, like really raw with everything. And then the new one in Libra, I was like, oh, I'm lonely. I was like, I wish I had someone to like hug throughout these things, like the good and the bad. And yeah, I just felt like I was like, oh, relationships.
Yep, yep. That's the story that I'm living out and playing out as well with the new moon in Libra. The eclipses kicked off a big shift in my relationship, and the Libra new moon brought the next step for me in that shift like actually coming to fruition. So on I think it was on the 20th, I think it was like the day before the new moon. um I went and signed a lease, very eighth house, that Mercury, Mars, all the Scorpio stuff that's going on is in my eighth house. So signed a new lease, renting someone else's property. And that's gonna create a totally new dynamic in my relationship because I've been living with my partner for the last 2 years. And so we're kind of like reassessing, redetermining what the dynamic of our relationship is going to look like. But it's the conclusion that we came to around the eclipses is that I would like to move out. I would like to have my own space. I would like to not cohabitate anymore. And I have lived with a partner. I've been in two separate, overlapping, not in a cheating way, in a ethical non-monogamy way. Two separate overlapping long-term relationships for the last 10 years of my life, for
Wow.
this entire decade of 20 to now 30.
Wow.
Um, and so I just came to this conclusion over the last few months that I didn't want to live with a partner anymore. And I wanted to experience like standing on my own 2 feet and uh, being more of an independent person. So it was with that, as the Libra new moon came, I signed my new lease. And this is actually the last day that I'm going to be recording in this room, because after today, I'm packing all this up and it's time to head over to the new place.
Well, and then Mars separates, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
necessarily breaking up, but you are separating and like finding that fierce independence.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
that for you. Good for
Thank
you.
you. And with that separation too, it's funny because so it's Mars in my eighth house. So Mars is doing this separating, but it's been separating. Um, it's been serving to separate people that I know from their property, because a lot of people that I know right now are moving. And I then was able to receive a lot of like furniture and things from
Other people's resource.
other
Yeah.
people. Yeah, other people's resources I've been receiving. So the day that Mars trine Jupiter, actually, a few days later, just a couple days ago, the
Yeah.
28th, Mars trine Jupiter, and a couple days before that, yeah, I received it's so funny. Yeah, it's Mars in the eighth, and Mars in my eighth and Jupiter in my fourth. And so it's my friends are moving homes, they're moving out of the state and just like giving me a bunch of their belongings. So I was able to kind of move stuff over. And I'm moving pretty much into someone else's house that they've been living in, because I'm moving in with a roommate who's already been in the space for at
Okay,
least a
cool.
year. So it's very eighth house all around for me right now.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Thought
my
that. I thought that. I feel like
big change.
one time I had a breakup. My last serious relationship, I broke up with him because we'd been together 9 months and I was fresh off of a separation from a marriage. And
Oh my
I
God, I didn't know that we're both divorced. How fun. How chic.
yeah, I am a divorcee. I became
Me
a
too.
divorcee at 27. At 27, I got separated. Married at 24, separated at 27, and then
Mm.
the pandemic really slowed the divorce down. So by 29, 28, I was fully divorced. Um, and then Actually, I broke up with this guy and I signed my divorce papers the same day. So I always tell people, I'm like, I had divorce for lunch and break up for dinner.
Oh, we are such eighth housers.
Literally.
The best.
So I remember the best advice, and I will always stand by this. I gave him, I told him, I was like, we're breaking up because you want to move in together, and I'm not ready because I haven't really. I was like, I wasn't alone for that long,
Mm-hmm.
and like, but I was alone. I was alone for like a year before I got into this other relationship. Even still, it took me 6 months to like be like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. He waited. Lovely guy. And then 9 months in, he's like, we should move in together. And I'm like, you're insane. I was like, you're no,
No.
like, no, like, I just got curtains. You live with two.
I
I'm not
just
moving
got
out.
curtains.
Got curtains. Um, and he lived with two other people. He lived with a couple. And
Oh.
I told them, I was like, no, 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 you need to know what it's like to be on your own. Before
Mm.
you move in with me, before we take this relationship any further, you need to know what it's like to be on your own. I've been on my own. Before my marriage, I was on my own for about 2, 3 years. And then after my marriage, I was on my own for a year. And so I was like, and even in my marriage, I was alone. And so I told him that, and we broke up because I started getting the ick after that. Bunch of things happened. And a year later, I'll never forget this. A year later, I was at a concert by La Rosalia by myself, 'cause I do those things alone sometimes. And he texted me. And this was shortly after I had gotten a ultrasound for potential breast cancer, which was
Mm.
clean, thank God. Um, so I thought he was reaching out because of that. Like I was like, oh, did blah 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 tell you like thanks for reaching out? And he was like, no, but I'm so glad you're okay. I wanted to tell you you are absolutely right. And I was like,
Mm.
hold on, hold
Say
on,
it again.
frame. Yes, yeah. I said, right about what? And he's texting me. He's like, I did need to be on my own. I had no idea what it was like to live without roommates, and I was literally just gonna like move in with you and be this very underdeveloped person with you. And I've been on my own now, for a little bit over a year, and it has been the most growth that I've seen in myself. And just thanking me, giving me all these things.
Wow.
You're welcome. So I always applaud it whenever people want to be on their own and independentize themselves and if you can do that while in a relationship, massive, massive props to you. I think it helps. I think it's so healthy. I think it's a good thing. So good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll see what happens. This very much also feels like the closure of my Saturn return. We're going to talk about Saturn stationing direct again
Thank God.
in November because this is, yeah, like I have Saturn in the 12th house. And so, and it's in Pisces. And for me, developing spiritually and developing my spiritual skills is a huge theme. And I've come to the conclusion that I can't do that living with a partner. I need to be on my own in order to continue that. And this end of October had another like final right before the Mars trine Jupiter, right after Neptune moved back into Pisces. Neptune moved back into my 12th house, and I did do a day-long spiritual retreat where I redid my Reiki level 2 training and attunement. And now going into November, moving into this new space, a big theme for me is continuing to develop psychic and spiritual skills.
Mm.
And with this birthday that I just had, in early October, I moved into a moon card year, tarot girly. So it's big Neptune, moon, 12th house retreat vibes for me for the next year.
Yeah.
Hmm
I'm very excited for you. How has this grand water trine been playing out for you? Besides that.
It's felt better than the air trine. That's for
Yeah.
damn sure. That's for damn sure. I'm really interested in seeing how this grand water trine is going to shift and change throughout November because it's we basically constantly have a water trine going, but
Yeah.
the players
A
switch
players.
out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, we're gonna have some big shifts.
Well,
So
so
should we?
in October we have the
Yes.
Malefics playing with right? And then in November we have Venus, Benefic, and then Mercury
Mm-hmm.
playing.
Mm-hmm. And the sun comes in there
And the sun
too. The
comes
sun
in.
pops in at
So
the
it
end of
should
Scorpio
be like,
season.
but I think the last thing I would want to touch on in October is like, of course, and like sending. So we have this
Mm,
Hurricane Melissa.
talk about water trine.
That water trend. My best friend is in Jamaica, like right now.
Oh God. Have
Yeah.
you heard from her?
Him, yes, I have.
Him.
Yeah, yeah. He was on a construction job out there building a new dock in Montego Bay. And yes, heard from him. He's been checking in, thank goodness. But yeah, they had to like board up and
Mm,
so yeah, devastated a lot of the Caribbean. I think she's in Cuba right now, the hurricane. Um, but yeah, those are the things that globally we really kind of a lot of people predicted it. A lot of especially I think following a grand air trine, right out on the heels and then water, like hurricane.
like, and the high winds. It's this
They're really strong,
air,
stronger than Katrina.
water. Yeah, really strong hurricane. Melissa. God damn it, Melissa.
With
God damn
that
it.
said,
Yeah.
yeah,
With
to everyone.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's really I'm looking forward to building into my regular routine and practice is being able to like this might sound silly to people who aren't super into doing Reiki, but being able to kind of send energy out to where it's needed
Yeah,
and on a more regular basis. We can there is a lot to say about thoughts and prayers being absolutely the bare minimum, and like we can talk shit on thoughts and prayers for sure. And I genuinely do believe in thoughts and prayers. Like I do think that
yeah,
that's still important. And having a community around that to come together and send thoughts, prayers, and resources and
and
money
resources.
and
Yeah,
assistance.
absolutely. Yeah,
Because that's one of the things that I've been thinking of also as we face the second month of a government shutdown in the United States. And we know that on November 1st, nutrition assistance benefits are being turned off for millions and millions of Americans, including millions of children. And what I've been witnessing, especially here in Tucson, Arizona, is a we really believe in mutual aid here, and we see it being
yeah,
done in a lot of
excellent.
ways. Hmm?
I've seen it reflected on your socials.
Yeah, and I'm seeing here and also elsewhere. I think this water trine of bringing in like compassion and empathy and this desire to assist and help and protect and nourish others. I'm just watching how so many different private businesses and nonprofits and private individuals and groups are coming together to try and replace this benefit that people have had that's been like life sustaining care. I think that I think the response to SNAP being shut off would have looked very different if we were in, say, a grand fire trine, uh,
Yeah.
rather than in this grand water trine where we have a lot of, people coming together with compassion for others.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too that it's coming off of the heels of another Well, I mean, it's right now, right? The moon is conjunct Pluto. And the moon, like, being a huge symbol for food and nutrition and the beat,
Mm,
and like
yeah.
Pluto being the sign of the collective, but also the lord of death and rebirth and things like that. It's of no surprise. And I mean, I'm really glad I'm not in the States anymore, but I'm particularly glad my mom used to be on food stamps. Like,
Mm.
I can't imagine, what would have like been if we didn't have food stamps for like the majority of my life growing up, which is like one of those programs, right? So hopefully,
Yeah, that's exactly what's being taken away. Yeah, moon conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. It does feel like uh in the United States especially, but we also see this reflected elsewhere, in Israel, in Gaza. It's like the powers that be, the structures, are literally trying to kill us. Like they're literally trying to kill us.
yeah, yeah,
And they're starting with those who are most vulnerable,
yeah.
in lots of places in the United States, and I've seen it really prevalent in Arizona and in Tucson. Like the unhoused and houseless neighbors are just absolutely being thrown under the rug. Immigrants are being thrown under the rug, and now we're moving on to poor people. And it's
Just,
like how
yeah,
many groups,
and
and
just
it's very true of it's going to keep happening. You're going to keep seeing it happen to others until it comes for you.
yeah.
Like they're just trying to kill all of us at this point.
No, literally, it you see it. I think it's a theme of Pluto and Aquarius, where we're going to see a lot of minorities disappear. And we say that, I say that, in all the terms that like there's a lot of immigrants being lost in these like ICE prison systems and uh fucking that alligator jail in Florida.
Alligator Alcatraz, yeah,
Yeah.
too many unaccounted for
Too many
people
are
over
accounted
there.
for, and then ICE going after African Americans and the Black community in Chicago.
Hmm.
Like, but what also Pluto and Aquarius, and I know it will come because I have faith. Um, I say shakingly.
Yeah,
Pluto and Aquarius is also the sign of the rebellion, of the revolution.
yeah.
It has to get to such a dark point, and I think that a lot of people will realize that this its current government in the U.S. eventually it will turn on its people. Eventually,
Hmm.
it will just be a matter of like, do you have the money? Do you have the access? Or do you have like the loyalties? And if you even, I mean, we see it in the MAGA party today, right? They're turning on each other.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of time before ICE just starts coming after particular names, right? And things like that. We'll see how that turns out in the next 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, we are so early in
So,
this. It's frightening to consider how much time we have left with Pluto and Aquarius and what else might happen during that time. And, we will hopefully be here as free thinking people, continuing to watch, witness, document, and support each other along the way.
that's all we can do, really.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, let's
So November is happening.
November's happening. We're
Yeah, and
busy month.
super busy month. We've got retrogrades, we've got direct stations, we've got outer planets changing signs. We've got all kinds of fun and exciting things happening.
I always look forward to Sagittarius season, regardless. I mean, I love Scorpios. I have an affliction to Scorpio. I do. I love Scorpios. I think it's a very
Same.
transformative time. But I look forward to the lightheartedness of Sagittarius so much.
Yeah, yeah. So Sagittarius season officially starts, oh my gosh, looking at officially starts on November 21st. So we've got
First.
some weeks to go, but we have,
Yes.
Mars moves into Sagittarius on the 4th,
Or
which is exciting.
do we want to pull a chart for the
Oh,
initiation of?
yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Sorry,
Oh no,
I'm
you're
forgetting my
good.
job is to
I
pull
no,
up the
I'm just
charts.
genuinely curious. It's like, and I
Yes,
look,
we do. The
I
answer to that is yes, we do want to pull up the chart. I'm just looking at my notes over here. All right, we've got the 1st showing up here, November 1st. Can you see? You can see this, right?
I
Yeah.
can see. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, November 1st, we're starting the month with the sun in Scorpio, the moon in Pisces, approaching a conjunction with Saturn retrograde. We start the month with Saturn being retrograde, and then we end the month with Saturn being direct, but then Mercury and Jupiter being retrograde.
J- You know, Jupiter is the easiest of the retrogrades. Let's
Oh,
just
yeah.
put that out there. It always trines the sun. So
Mm.
it's a very easy retrograde in terms of like, you're not going to run into a lot of issues like with Mercury retrograde that we run into usually.
Yeah.
But it is
Yeah.
a really good time for like inner faith development, really taking a look at your like spiritual hygiene and things like that. And then just watching out for, I mean, this is true of Jupiter direct, it's watching out for excess. Don't, don't
Always.
go big or go home. Maybe just go home. I don't know.
But with Jupiter being in Cancer, I just was moving through the lessons in fundamentals of astrology, the course that Mariana and I are both taking right now. I was just going through all of the lectures on like the planets in their exaltation in fall and all of that, and talking about the exaltations. So it's the thing that's so great about exaltations, and that makes them even more beneficial than planets in their home sign, is that it mitigates the more negative or destructive aspects
Yeah.
of a planet. So Jupiter in its, essential, the pure expression of Jupiter, yes, is very lucky, is very optimistic, is very expansive, but it can also, like you said, go to excess, and it can be too much expansion, too much growth, too just overdoing it. And that Jupiter in Cancer does mitigate that a little
Yeah.
bit. So we are still enjoying an exalted Jupiter,
We
thank
are.
God.
Think it's one of the few things saving us, honestly.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
how else do we start the month? I'm like, I didn't even look at this.
November. Okay, so on the 2nd of November, I'll move us forward a day. On November 2nd, we get this exact Venus Jupiter square. So
Which
we've got.
is
Mhm.
so cool because they're both in their, well, Venus is in domicile and Jupiter.
Mhm.
Chin.
Yes, so it's a happy Venus and a happy Jupiter coming together in a very dynamic aspect. But it does form a T square with Chiron. So there's this really interesting tension. And I think we see this with how folks are coming together, what we were just talking about, how folks are coming together to help support everyone who's losing their SNAP benefits,
Yeah.
where there's like this tension between our needs, our emotional needs, our social needs, our just basic needs, and like these core wounds that Chiron represents and that Chiron is opening up. So there is this very like dynamic flux, Jupiter here just really wanting to like nurture and nourish and make sure everyone has what they need. Venus and Libra bringing that social aspect. I'm seeing so much of like, food drives and businesses being like, hey, like come out on this certain day and we're going to donate a certain percentage of our revenue on this day to the food banks. Like it's this social justice aspect. And then Chiron in Aries is a little, Chiron in Aries is in this instance is kind of, I think, representative of the folks in government who are basically throwing a hissy fit And that's what's resulting in this government shutdown.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of like, no, like you're not giving us what we want. We want to make sure that we can like take healthcare away from people.
Well, and also pointing the finger, right? Like
Pointing the finger and the blame.
I
Yeah,
recently
because
saw
if
that on the USDA website.
yes,
They're like,
almost every government website.
they're straight up like, this is the Democrats' fault.
This is the Democrats' fault, and
Yeah.
they want to make sure that immigrants have health care, and that's evil. And
And
like,
mutilating surgeries that they're
oh my
literally they
God.
bring everything under the umbrella into something that has nothing to do with
Yes.
the weather outside. Like, they're like, this is the fault. This is transgender people's fault. This is illegal immigrants' fault. And this is the Democrats' fault. And I'm just like, at what point do you take accountability or like at the very least be like, we all failed you?
Yeah. Yes. We're unable to come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I see that opening of the month with this T square. But I see the positive aspects here. Like I'm
Yeah. Everything.
hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm
Everything that you
hopeful
said.
that, yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Continue.
Everything that you said is really beautiful. Something that I wanted to add, that I wanted to shout out, is that I saw it in San Francisco. I don't know if other cities are doing it, but a lot of Oakland, San Francisco restaurants are doing pay what you can day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Same thing with
Yeah,
Mexico.
there's been some restaurants in Tucson that are offering on certain days, they're offering just straight up free meals to people who have been furloughed or to people who can show their EBT cards.
Love that. I love that.
Yes. So the people are coming together. Like I'm super happy with Venus in Libra is bringing the social justice, and Jupiter in Cancer is bringing the collective nourishment, which is lovely.
I think
Uh,
on a more personal level, what I wrote down for this Venus square Jupiter, we think of squares as like challenging aspects, but in between the benefics, it's usually pretty agreeable, right? You feel
mhm.
well, you enjoy the companies of others. This is like a really good day to do anything you enjoy. It's not very good for like duties and responsibilities and whatnot. It's a day that carries very little self-discipline, but if you don't act on impulse, like impulse shopping or overeating, or maybe like satisfying that sweet tooth craving, just it's a really good feeling that can like help that you can help rub off on people around you. And I think with Libra and Cancer, it is about making someone else happy. Um,
Mm.
so like maybe you'll get a nice gift from like a family member,
Or give a nice gift.
or be that family member, give a nice gift.
Yeah.
Do that, for someone.
Yeah, Chiron and Aries, you mentioned acting on impulse. Chiron and Aries, I was very much seeing as like the
Yeah.
wound driven impulse, like the impulse to overeat because you're trying to, fill an emotional hole, or those impulses that are rooted
I lost you.
in like mitigating pains, and like old wounds. But I would also argue that this could be a good day for duty and like getting things done that are maybe unpleasant, but doing it in a way that's going to feel actually kind of okay, because we do have that trine from Jupiter to Saturn. So Saturn is a little bit in the mix here,
That's true. That's
helping
withstanding.
us be a little bit responsible.
Yeah, that's withstanding the whole month. I did lose you, just FYI, for the recording for like a
Oh
minute.
gosh.
But
Okay.
anyway, that's true. That's true. I forget about Saturn trining Jupiter the whole freaking month.
Yeah.
For a while too.
Oh man, yeah, I think that'll be kind of helpful. It's
I mean,
because it's like Jupiter and Saturn our one leg of the water grand trine that we will have kind of throughout the
Continuously, yeah.
month. Right now, Mars is in that position. Mars is separating from both of them. But we eventually get the sun moving in to replace Mars, and then we get Venus moving in to replace Mars. So that water trine is all month. And it's on the 4th of November that Mars moves into Sagittarius.
That's all I can think of. Yeah,
Is Mars going into Sag?
just a horse, just where he's gonna want to go far, he's gonna want to go wide, he's gonna, yeah. I think, I mean, Mars in any fire sign, it's good. It's good.
I'm a little concerned about the initial opposition to Uranus. So
Super concerned.
we have yeah, so we have Uranus. Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus.
Yes,
But it's not quite there yet. It's
not yet.
when Mars moves into Sag at 0 degrees of Sag, it's going to oppose Uranus at 0 degrees of Gemini. And I don't love that.
Yeah. I don't love that for many reasons. First, I mean, yes, Mars in Sagittarius, it has vision, it has drive. It actually it's not just like blindly acting on impulse like Mars, sort of tends to like act on emotion. It's actually a very philosophical sign for Mars to be in, and for finding the meaning in things, and giving our actions a little bit more morality, sure. And then Mars is answering to Jupiter in Cancer. However, this is a challenging aspect because it forms a quincunx, right?
Mm.
Or an in conjunction. And that's so you have Mars and Sagittarius driven by adventure and like the big picture. And then you have Jupiter in Cancer that's like, no, I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna stay home and I'm
Oh.
gonna nurture. And so this is like a massive fundamental difference. And then you have immediately as Mars gets in there opposing Uranus, which is the signature of unpredictability.
Yeah. And with Mars being in a fire sign, opposing Uranus in an air sign, it's a little explosive.
A little explosive.
And by a little, I mean a lot.
Hopefully we don't see what we've seen a few past winters in terms of like wildfires.
Yes, watch your fires. Make sure everything is put out. Let's not be risky with fire or wind at this time. Yeah. Yeah.
I lived in LA for 8 years, and
Mm.
that's really tough to go through. And I think we had a good amount of it this year in January. So hopefully no one does anything stupid.
Yeah, let's
Otherwise,
not be fucking around with fireworks or
yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that this energy, if used, responsibly, on a personal level, what I wrote in my notes is like, yeah, you'll have some sort of explosive release. Maybe like you're gonna lash out at some people, but maybe these people have been holding you back in some way,
Mm.
or have, held you, like imposed on you. If you are like prepared to consciously have that radical change be done, this will give you the energy to do it.
Mm.
Expect resistance, but if you do it right, it could be very liberating. Do watch out for accidents, just in general.
Yeah, watch out for accidents. I do wonder if protests will occur on this date because we'll have just had SNAP turned off. The government will probably still be shut down. We still are dealing with all this with like the Epstein files. Fun fact, it's actually my congressperson that they're refusing to swear in because she has vowed to be like the final signature needed in order to force a release of the Epstein files. Like she's the congressperson literally for my uh I just forgot the word, but for my region, CD7, Adelita Grijalva. So
I
we're
love that.
hoping, yeah, so we're hoping to get her actually fully signed into Congress because right now, no representation, which is a bummer. So I'm wondering if there will be another like wave of protest I could see kicking off with this Mars ingress into Sagittarius. Because like again, Sagittarius, when with Mars being there, like that's the spiritual warrior.
Yes.
That's the warrior who is like really pushing for their beliefs. And with it being Jupiter, ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, it's the belief that all people should be safe and
Yeah.
nurtured.
Yeah. I'll be
So I could
that.
see
I love that.
protests kicking off. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, they're
Um,
huge truth seekers, right? Sagittarius. Which-
yeah. Release the files. Am I right?
Yeah.
And this is just the day before the full moon on
Yeah.
November 5th. We have a full moon in Taurus. Hello, exalted full moon.
Hello, exalted full moon.
I
About
like
time.
that. Yeah, about time. And we still have that Mars Uranus opposition happening. They're both still at 0 degrees. They're starting to separate at this point. Uh, but yeah, full moon energy with a Mars Uranus opposition with a close like Jupiter Saturn trine. It's November is really interesting astrology.
It's really interesting. That's really Sag rising.
Yeah, this
So
is
again, benefiting
for
from
like
Jupiter.
10 a.m. in on Pacific time. And we have Mars also sextiling. Mars is approaching a sextile to Pluto at this time. So Pluto's in the mix here too.
Good. Good, good,
It's,
good, good.
it's giving ay ay ay.
You're doing. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I
Yeah,
prefer
it's just a
sextile
lot.
than anything else. Um,
Yes, if we're talking Mars Pluto, I'm happy at the sextile.
yeah, and I'm happy that the ruler of this full moon is Venus in Libra.
Yes.
Good,
Yes, because we're
good.
just about to get Venus moving into Scorpio, but thank God when the full moon is exact, Venus is still in Libra. So it's giving social justice. It's giving food drive with the moon in Taurus. It's giving resource accumulation and sharing.
There's still a little bit of like this restlessness that I feel from Mars and Mercury being conjunct.
Mm-hmm. The
Um,
opposite Uranus.
yeah, opposite Uranus, but like a lot of that mental stimulation for sure. But like, I think ideas, I think full moons are, for like picking up the harvest, what you've planted in the new moon and whatnot. And so maybe this Mars and Mercury conjunction opposed Uranus is for like the birthing of new ideas, the birthing of
Mm,
new conniving Mercury ways of defending ourselves.
mm-hmm.
Hopefully that's how Mercury aids Mars in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with truth seeking, I'm
Yeah,
thinking about the ice agents who are all secret and masked and hidden. I'd love to see I'd love to see maybe some of those lists come out as well.
for sure. And the continuation of the shared resources, right? I mean, Scorpio is the ruler of the eighth house, therefore it has a lot to do with other people's resources. And then
Hmm.
Taurus, like in the traditional sense, like having to do with our own resources and like it's a sign that has to do a lot with food as well.
Yep.
So who knows where, but that'll be.
This is a good day for a potluck, for feeding your
Yeah, feed your
neighbor,
neighbor.
for yeah, feeding the people. It's a good day for feeding the people.
Yeah.
What day of the week is this? It's a Wednesday. We got a Wednesday full moon, Mercury's day.
Feed your local community.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
Yeah.
And then the next day.
And then the next day, then things really start to shift. All right, we've got, I'm going to move through just like a couple hours because then we have Venus moving back into Scorpio. There she is, Venus back into Scorpio. And we're really, really close to Uranus moving back into Gemini, or back into Taurus, I mean.
Taurus. Yeah, from Gemini. Yeah.
So what happens every time something ingresses into Scorpio? We get a square to Pluto. Square Pluto. So I'll go forward another day and we'll see what that really looks like. We've got Venus at 1 degree of Scorpio, squaring Pluto at 1.5 degrees of Aquarius. And oh my gosh, we've caught it right at Uranus retrograde at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Gemini here.
That's wild.
I love watching the outer planets move because they move so slowly that you can really see it just sitting on that 0 degree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like the day that it ingresses, when it ingresses, the moon will still be in Gemini. So it's while Uranus is sitting at that 0 degree, which 0 degrees of any sign is very meaningful. 0 and 29 are these like really power points. So the moon also bringing that Gemini energy. That's a very trickstery, info heavy, sudden revelations. What truths might come out? What shocking revelations might occur when Uranus is at 0 degrees of Gemini?
Well, looking at your relationships, because Venus in Scorpio, it's not necessarily, she wants to bring a light to the shadows. She wants those things that you've been putting off, that argument, that debate, that task, that thing that you've been putting off in your relationships. Venus is gonna want to talk about it. Really want to talk about it, especially, with Mercury and Sagittarius, with Mars and Sagittarius. Venus is like, yeah, let's talk about the truth. What is the truth?
Cheaters, watch out.
Cheaters, your time.
Cheaters, watch out.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Especially with that square to Pluto. That's it's always about a power struggle, right? Powerful experiences, very powerful experiences that will force you to change your consciousness, or you're gonna become, or at the same time you could just become aware of like a very volatile. There's a dynamic, a power dynamic in relationships.
Yeah.
Venus to square Pluto, right? So and the thing is that they cannot be ignored. So either you know about it and this Venus square Pluto really brings it up to the light and like you have to deal with it, or you're gonna notice it on this Venus square and be like, oh, my partner's been manipulating me in this way, or I've been exerting control over my partner in this way. Whatever it is, it cannot be ignored because there's no stability with Venus squared Pluto, and there's sure shit no stability with Uranus and Gemini. So
yeah. So that's an interesting day to keep an eye out for new understandings and shocking revelations. And this is, of course, on the 7th of November, but around that time, where everything is a little loose in terms of when exactly things are occurring, kind of like day before, day of, day after. Day after, now we finally get Uranus back into Taurus.
Right back into Taurus.
Yeah.
One last shock to the current economy.
Yep, one last shock to the economy and to like
Yeah.
food distribution systems. I know when we were talking about Uranus moving through Taurus, there was a lot of questions around the what is it called? Uh the supply chain,
Yeah.
and especially in terms of our food, the supply chain for how produce and like food goods get moved around. So it's really interesting that in this last stretch of Uranus and Taurus that we're dealing with kind of like a need to restructure how we get food to those who need it because of the whole government nutrition assistance going away, and now an even larger reliance on food banks and mutual aid.
Yeah. When I think of Ernest and Taurus, I think we'll also see something with like the actual economy, like
Mm,
Wall Street, the
yeah.
oh yeah, the stock market.
The stock market, the stocks,
Maybe
that
that
fake
thing.
money that goes around.
Yes, that sounds like what's the name of that thing with that they do with the bell? I obviously have no stock in this.
Good for you. I actually do have a little bit. I invest, this is not an ad, but I use the Acorns app to
No,
invest.
I will.
I wish it
Everyone
was an
keeps
ad, but
telling me I have to. I really need to. Y'all.
I don't know if you do, because I don't know if this system
No,
is
I'm gonna
gonna
wait.
exist.
I'm going to wait.
Well, I
But
saw
yeah.
something about like the Dow Jones reached its like highest point ever or whatever. I'm not up to snuff on my facts about this, but I just saw like some stupid meme or something that was like comparing the Dow Jones like doing really well with, you know, millions of people facing food insecurity at the same time. And it's like, wow,
Banana.
this is not a good indication of how like the actual personal
Yeah.
economy
Yeah.
is doing.
It's so funny that you say that. Uh in my exploring the grief presentation, I had to discover the birthing, I guess, or the concept of an emotional economy. And
Mm.
that is like taken into consideration and like what makes a country emotionally stable or the economy of it based on like, people's happiness and accessibility and basic needs being met and everything like that. So yeah, I think it's funny we don't have an emotional economy stock market, but we have a financial stock market. Ay, ay, ay.
I think it's funny that as we get closer and closer to Mercury turning retrograde in the timeline of the month that we're talking about, we keep forgetting more and more words.
I know. Those, yeah, the closer we get to Mercury retrograde, the more that like the Wi-Fi goes out.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're getting really close. Because Mercury, right here in this chart, which we're looking at November 8th, Mercury is at 6 degrees and 48 minutes of Sagittarius. And it's at all when we get to almost 7 degrees is when it switches retrograde, which is
What?
officially on November 9th. And Mercury's not thrilled to be in
To
Sagittarius.
begin with.
I'll get
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get to where it's actually showing it as retrograde. Yeah, Mercury is already not super happy to be in Sagittarius because Mercury loves those little fine details. Is it there? Is it retrograde there now?
It's
No, not yet.
answering to Jupiter and Cancer.
So that's lovely.
So
There we
that's
go. Here's the
nice.
retrograde.
That's nice.
We like a Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer really is like the glue that's holding everything together, and I'm a little scared for when it does eventually move out of Cancer. Um, but yeah, this Mercury retrograde, I am not excited about because personally, I will be traveling while Mercury is in retrograde in my ninth house of travel.
Bro, you really didn't look that up.
I really did not look this, girl. I did not look this up. It was like so the reason why I'm traveling is because I'm going to a concert by myself, as you discussed earlier, being a lovely
It's an
experience.
eighth house thing, dude. It's nice.
So I'm going to see Halsey in Denver. And yeah, it was like I was trying to just figure out what show can I make it to. I have to buy a ticket as soon as they go on sale. Like they sold out really quick. So I did not have any time to check the astrology, and we shall see what happens. I'm hoping that I don't have too many delays because I am trying to get dinner and or drinks with a astrology girly local to Denver. We'll report back on if that's super fun if I make a new astro friend. Yeah. So I know you've been looking a lot at the Mercury retrograde because it's gonna conjoin Mars again. So
Which I'm terrified for. Yeah. I'm literally like, I'm gonna double authenticate all my grandma's shit.
mm,
All my
just take
shit.
her phone away.
Just take I told her that. And like as we were putting in the
Just for
apps,
like a couple weeks.
as we were putting in the apps, she was like, YouTube. I was like, shut the fuck up. You watch YouTube. And she was like, yeah, I do. I was like, that's crazy. My grandma can't turn on the computer. Anyway, yeah, Mercury in Sagittarius with Mars. The good thing is that both of these planets are answering in Jupiter, right?
Okay. Okay.
So as far as fast and as mindlessness as they want to be, because Mercury in Sagittarius, it's not that it isn't mindful, it's that it's mind, it's in philosophy, it's in morals, it's in values, it's in like ancient Egypt. It's hanging out with Egypt, ancient Greece. It's hanging out with Plato, Socrates. Like it's just not present, Mercury in
The
Sagittarius.
scope is just too
Too
broad for
broad.
Mercury and Sagittarius.
Exactly, exactly. So, but it's answering to a Jupiter in Cancer, so we're um that's still like the saving grace of this whole thing. However, and I say this with all the love that I have Sagittarius, my father was a Sagittarius, but as much as I have a relationship with Scorpios, I have a relationship with Sagittarius. Sagittarians are assholes when it comes to, mouthiness. Like,
You
prepare for sarcasm, prepare for words. The truth is going to hurt. Mars, as we know, Mars cuts, Mars severs. Like, watch your mouth because you might say something very sarcastically. Sagittarians are some of the most funniest people I know, but they might take that sarcasm a little too far. So, travel wise, just the general rule of thumb with Mercury retrograde, plan for delays, especially if I don't think you're going that far, so you might be okay.
I'm not going that far. And I will say I did travel during the last Mercury
Yeah,
retrograde,
do that.
and I do have natal Mercury retrograde. So the actual retrograde periods for me tend to be okay. I tend to ride them well. I'm glad I'm not traveling during the shadow periods. That's when I tend to
Yeah.
get hit the most. The last Mercury retrograde that I traveled during, in July of this last year, I ended up volunteering to take a later flight because the flight that I was on was like hella overbooked. And because I volunteered to do that and I like waited a little while, they kept calling for volunteers, kept calling for volunteers. I actually ended up with $1,000 of Delta credit.
We love that.
I got a free $1,000. So maybe that'll happen again. And I do have Jupiter natally in Sagittarius, so hopefully it'll bring me a little bit of luck. But I love what you're saying about like the cutting words, the sarcasm, you know, Mars and Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. The Sagittarii in our lives might really live up to the Sagittariist nickname during this time frame.
Yeah. So my first partner, my first like serious relationship was Sagittarius. I was with him for 6 years. Funniest person in the room. Also, though, a bit of a kleptomaniac. Like, so that's why I'm like, no, watch out for thieves. And then yeah, watch your mouth. You might want to just be careful with what you say. On a more spiritual level, um, it's a really good time for all the words, right? We talk about
Mm-hmm.
reviewing, revising, resting, relaxing, revisiting. And in
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius, where we want to take that very broad way of thinking is and again preparing for Jupiter's retrograde a few days later, really review your beliefs. What
Mm.
the fuck do you stand for? What
Yes.
you put forth in terms of your what your faith, and then also where do you want to go from here in terms of where do you want to expand your mind, where do you want to expand your philosophies, what culture could you learn from, I just saw this post about putting giving white children like the tools and arming them with the knowledge of like white people that stood for BIPOC, rights and that stood by the slaves and in the American Revolution or Civil War and things like that. So I think it's about like arming yourselves with the kind of morals that you wish to have, that you need to learn about, maybe revisit an old history book and really redraw your beliefs from there. So you can be that sort of so you can hold your own in a conversation, with
Mm-hmm.
like modern day philosophies and modern day values and morals and things like that. Um, I think there's a refreshing thing about Sagittarius is that um it's a sign, it's mutable, right? It can change perspective. It can change
Mm-hmm.
point of view. You can be flexible about the way you want to keep moving forward in the world, specifically when it comes to your intellectual and conversational thoughts. Um, I think even though Mercury is very tactless, like very tactless in Sagittarius, it's uh it's very good for higher learning and
Mm. I love that.
deadlines, not deadlines, but like
Pushing deadlines.
pushing deadline. Yeah, if anything, absolutely pushing
Yeah.
deadline. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. My natal Jupiter in Sagittarius in the ninth house loves learning from other cultures. So yeah, arming yourself with cultural competency, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so then we do get to that Jupiter retrograde station
We're only on
on
November 11th, by the way.
We're on November 11th. We are halfway through the month and so much has occurred already.
Already.
So November 11th, we get Jupiter stationing. It's not showing here yet. Oh, because I'm only moving forward 6 hours. I thought I was moving forward by the day. Zoops. All right. Nope, still not showing as retrograde. Let's do another 12 hours. There we go. Let's see, where are you? There's Jupiter stationing retrograde at 25 degrees of
There she
Cancer.
is.
So now we have Jupiter retrograde and Mercury retrograde. And Saturn is still retrograde, and Uranus has just retrograded into another sign, and it's a lot of retrograde energy.
Yeah, I mean, this
Neptune's
is
still retrograde.
that time of year, right? So, I mean, we're not meant to be go, 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 go the whole time. We have to
Hmm.
pause and revise, review, and re-strategize. I think re-strategize is a
Mm,
huge word for all the retrogrades as well.
yeah, definitely. So this Jupiter retrograde, it stations retrograde in a close trine to Saturn retrograde, but it doesn't go exact. So we can see that Jupiter is at like 2509 here at this time, and Saturn is at 2522. So it doesn't quite complete that trine, but we get really close to it. And then the sun is here at 20 degrees of Scorpio, so it's starting. We're within orb now of the sun having replaced Mars in that grand water trine. So I think
Yes.
that's gonna feel a little bit different. So we have the Scorpio sun bringing a little more. It's making this grand water trine, I think, a little more personal. Like obviously Mars is quite a personal planet, but having the sun come in there, what's your take on this version of the grand water trine?
I think it's a little bit more like accessing our emotions a little bit easier. Whereas to
Mm.
like with Neptune having been in the mix, and Mars and the malefics being in the mix, it's maybe like a little bit uh reactive and like, oh, I didn't mean to be that angry, or oh, I didn't mean to react that way, or whatever. The sun and Jupiter kind of make it a little bit more accessible to really emote our emotions with a little bit less impulse, which
Mm-hmm.
Mars being in it, and a little bit more like definitely a little bit more ego, but in a nicer way. In a
A little
nice
less violent.
a little less violent.
A little less violent. And we have, so once Mars moves out, and Venus moves in to Scorpio, then, Venus is co-present in that sign with the sun. So there's a little bit of a smoothing, a harmonizing, an attempt, like you said earlier, to kind of bring some illumination to the darker crevices of the psyche and the inner emotional landscape.
Any transformation in Scorpio is for our greater good. It's just
Mm,
uncomfortable. It's just uncomfortable. It's not meant to
hmm
be um, a ride in the park, but it is for our greater good. I think having a little bit of an easier access to our emotions might make that ride a little less bumpy.
Around the same time, we also get, I'll move forward just a couple hours, we get our first square between the moon and Uranus now being back in Taurus.
Sure.
So I think that's going to shake up things a little bit. It'll give us a little bit of an insight into what this final round, obviously the day of the ingress will give us insight into what this final round of Uranus and Taurus is going to look like. And then the moon in Leo coming in and squaring that will also give us a little bit of insight into kind of what challenges we'll be facing with that final stretch of Uranus and Taurus.
Yeah. And I think also, I mean, on a personal level, if you go back to when Ernest was in these last degrees of Taurus, which was like what, earlier this year, and then a good chunk of last year, what, good half of last year,
I should
something,
have written it down. I did not look that up.
well, I didn't write down the dates, but was something will definitely be revisited that might have like shocked and jarred you then. Maybe you forgot about it. Maybe it did. Maybe you thought it had come to like a final stage, but one more jolt, one more jolt of energy from Ernest.
One more jolt to the system.
I have
Yeah,
Taurus in
let
my
me.
ninth house, so
I have it in my second house.
it'll be like a lightning strike of brilliance.
Yeah, it was the end of, or it was earlier this year. Let's see. Uranus was at 29 degrees. Um, Uranus got to like 27 degrees in mid-May. So this last summer, July, and June and July, beginning of July is when we had Uranus at those last degrees of Taurus. So we're wrapping up a story from this
Then,
summer.
yeah.
Yep. So then I didn't really note anything from the 12th until the 17th. Is there anything you want to talk about in
No,
between
there's no
then?
major transits.
It's just
I looked.
it's just purgatory for a minute for like 5 days, 4 days.
Yeah, it's just Mercury conjuncts Mars November 12th. For me, it might be a little bit like a day.
Yeah, it's the
But
12th for me as
yeah.
well. So we get that conjunction. It'll just be like
Tremendous
later on in the day.
intellectual energy. Watch out. Watch
Hmm.
for theft, for thievings, for sleight of
For liars,
liars, pants on.
big, big liar energy. Big liar energy. Because
Might I
Sagittarius can
mention,
spin a story.
my Sagittarius ex was not only a kleptomaniac, a massive cheater. And
Cheater,
therefore a
liar.
liar. Yeah, so cheaters, beware. Liars, beware of all of that. But then we're
Something
good.
that I'll something that I think is funny, just thinking about Mars Mercury conjunctions. So, I, do you know who the Try Guys are?
No.
Okay.
Try as in
I
TRY?
yes,
Okay.
TRY. I hope that someone listening to this will know I'm a huge fan of the Try Guys. They were a group that started on BuzzFeed back
Okay.
in the day. And now they have their own media company, but there was a huge scandal. It was originally four guys, and then there was a really big scandal with one of them after they had started their own media company. They're all owners of the company. The one guy who from like day one branded himself as the wife guy, like was super into his wife, always talking about his wife. Um, it came out a few years ago that he was having an affair with one of their company employees.
Okay.
Bad news. Don't do that, people. Bad news all around. And uh, he's recently come back into like public awareness because he just tried to like launch his own podcast with like an episode where he interviews his ex-wife. Um, and it's a whole mess. It's messy, but I laughed when I finally looked up his chart because we don't have a birth time for him, but based on the his birth date, he has a Mars Mercury conjunction, and I was like, "Oh, liar, a liar." Not everyone with that will be a massive liar, but
Good to
everyone with that will
know.
probably be pretty good at lying.
Good to know that's that signature. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's either like a stand-up comedian level good or you're a liar and a cheater. And like I'm not trying to like say like all stand-up comedians are, but a lot of not all men, but a lot of men.
Mariana has some comedian trauma, it sounds like.
Well, yeah. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Um,
So
moving
then we
on.
jump all the way. Moving on. So after we get that Mars Mercury conjunction, and then we're gonna jump all the way to November 17th because like nothing really of note happens in between. The planets are just
Appreciate
doing
it
their
on the
thing.
last, honestly.
And with all these retrograde stations, with all the retrograde stations, like planets are moving slowly
Yeah.
right now too. So we get a little bit of like a mid-month slog.
Yeah. I mean, the sun trines Jupiter and sun trines Saturn. It's good.
Mm,
It's good. Good for getting shit done.
good stuff, good stuff. And then we get our beautiful, yeah, that's what we're getting to next is the sun trining Jupiter and Saturn, and we get to the grand water trine 2.0,
Yeah. That's I'm
which
looking forward to this one, honestly.
yeah, I'm also looking forward to this one. So on November 17th is when we get all three of these planets at some variation of 25 degrees. So like we talked about, Jupiter and Saturn are not going to exact fully complete their trine, but they are with Jupiter moving so slowly, or oh, I don't know if they're actually moving that slowly. They've been in their retrogrades for a minute. but Jupiter, or I mean, the sun comes in, and now everybody's at 25 degrees of water signs. So throughout this entire month, like late degree water signs, third decan water signs, if you have any planets or placements or major points in the last 10 degrees of any water sign, you're really getting a lot of chart activation.
Yeah. Yeah, massively. I mean, for me, it's happening in my third, seventh, and 11th house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for that. I don't really, other than that, I don't have a lot of water.
This will be in my 12th, 4th, and 8th houses.
Oh,
Um, but so with my fourth house, my IC is earlier. It's right in the middle of the sign. So stuff isn't super hitting my IC, but this is going to be happening right in between my loose Mars Pluto conjunction. So I have, I think, Mars at 21 and Pluto at like 28 of Scorpio. So this 25 degrees, the sun's going to be right smack dab activating both my natal Mars and my natal Pluto, which is my chart ruler, Mars being my chart ruler. So
I am excited for the the good vibes. I think, I mean, the sun in Scorpio is still going to be very much like unearthing something, like maybe like a deep rooted emotion that you didn't really understand, but now again being brought up with ease, right? Trying for me is easy flow,
hmm
things that gives like access to each other, that planets that give access to each other. So I'm excited to see what comes up. I'm excited to see how I'm transformed. Yeah. In that.
hmm this could be a good time for collective grieving.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Yeah. With all that water. And I mean, for me personally, knowing the signs it's going to be in there, it's a good time for me to sit with some grief.
When do you move?
It's kind of loose. Like I already have the key to my new place, and I'm moving out of my boyfriend's house, so it's a little loosey goosey. I'm planning on being done with my move before I go travel, before
Oh,
I go to Denver. So, when we finish recording today, I'm going to start packing and then see what I can bring over. So, then it's going to be a little bit of a whirlwind going on my trip to Denver, getting back from that, and then we're going to be in the reality of no longer living with my partner. And, to be totally honest, like neither him or I is quite sure what we're doing with our relationship moving forward. So, this could be a really good time for honest conversations, for really sitting with our emotions, and for processing the grief that's going to come up whether we decide to stay together or not. There's going to be a lot of grief at this change. It has been a lot of grief at this change.
yeah. I mean, I was
So
gonna say like maybe that's when you grieve your old home, you know?
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Exactly. I think that's when that stillness is gonna come about. And at that point I will have finished the 21-day integration period that happens after you go through a Reiki attunement. So I'm doing a lot of Reiki on myself right now. And I'm actually also then at that point, towards the end of November, we'll be starting to practice Reiki on others to a stronger degree. So I will be
oh, me, me,
um,
me, me, me.
Yes, I will be starting to do some practice sessions, and I have some people in mind. Mariana, you are one of them because I can start doing distance Reiki now with this level that I've just been attuned to. So, really diving into like, the Saturn and Pisces of it all. Like Saturn and Pisces for me is majorly about being a leader and disciplined figure in the spiritual wellness healing space.
Right.
So I love this trine, activating my eighth house Mars, which is my chart ruler, which also plays a huge role. A lot of what I do is helping people with grief and with like major shifts and changes in their lives. earlier when you were talking about your presentation, your workshop that you just did, I was thinking a lot about how, one of the things that I've recently taken a class on and started offering at one of the places that I massage is specifically grief massage. Like a
Oh,
lot of the work that I do is about helping people process, sit with, and navigate all kinds of grief and major shifts and changes in their lives. So I really like the way this Grand Trine looks for me personally, knowing what I've set up in my life and the work that I am aiming to do. And Ju as soon as Jupiter moved into my fourth house, I was like, man, should I move? But I didn't really see it as a serious potential. So it's interesting now that we're getting to this place with Jupiter interacting with Saturn and having, this retrograde through Cancer that like, oh yeah, no, it's actually happening now. I am moving.
well, and then, your Saturn is in its joy. Maybe not its
hmm
like favorite sign, but it is in
It,
its joy.
yeah,
You know,
and
it's
house-wise, it's a happy house.
yeah, it's a happy house for Saturn to be in,
hmm
and um a lot of responsibility when it comes to being a spiritual practitioner is having those limitations and your boundaries, right? And
Yeah.
understanding that you have to go to a house. I call the I call the dark houses the houses of like surrender, like the fourth,
Mm,
the 12th are greatly studied for my research on that presentation. And it is a place where the eighth house is where you release control, and the 12th house is where you give up control, like to forces that you can't see. So I think what you're doing is it's very good. I think it's very,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm like, I know you get it. I know you get
Oh, yeah.
I know you get
That's the
that.
only
Yeah.
thing. It's like, yeah, I want a relationship, but like you over there.
Yeah, you
Yep.
over
Can
there,
you
I'll be over here.
help me
Because
later?
sometimes, yeah, for my Saturn to be like truly happy, I need to go like isolate for periods of time.
A
So,
100%. A
and
hundred.
that's why Saturn has its joy in the 12th house, is because it's happiest when it is like in isolation and
Mhm.
able to kind of like really feel out and hold those strong boundaries.
Yeah. And I think part of that trine, and we like you said, we will be able to have some ease and healthy conversations because Mercury will be right there also in Scorpio. Um, but then,
Yeah.
right after that trine, Mercury, Mercury leaves Sagittarius to get into Scorpio,
Yes, it comes
facilitating
back.
the conversations.
Yep. Yeah, so we're gonna have a couple hits of Mercury opposing Uranus because Mercury is gonna pop back in. So Mercury and Uranus oppose at 0 degrees of Sagittarius and Gemini, and then they also oppose at 29 degrees of Scorpio and Taurus.
So wrap up conversations, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
conversations signaling the end of a dealing, well, we left this open ended, which we just had a Mercury Uranus opposition. So like things that are open ended now by mid-November will come to a close.
and then we have that new moon. Look at this. Look at all of this Scorpio energy.
These new moons in later degrees, I'm not that big a fan of.
They're kind of heavy,
They're really heavy.
especially this Scorpio one.
They're really heavy. This new moon in Libra didn't feel like airy for me at all.
I signed that lease. I signed that lease like the day before the new moon, and then I cried for an hour afterwards. And then I had to go to work. And I was like, okay, now I'll go massage people, make them feel better. I feel bad.
I cried because it was right after my grandma got all the
Oh,
money stolen. And I'm like, doesn't feel very new. Doesn't feel like
no.
fresh energy. But what we have what I have my silver lining, and I have silver lining syndrome, is that Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth.
Yes.
and rebirth. A lot of people focus a lot on the death, and I think that's cool because no other sign really does. But it is the phoenix risen from the ashes again. There is a new thing promised. It's not just like death and it's death and rebirth.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting to also note here is that God, like all these outer planets keep the conversations between the outer planets, they are really talking to each other.
Chatting.
Because here we have Neptune and Uranus forming an exact sextile at 29 degrees.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
So this new moon, and both of those planets are in conversation with the new moon. So we've got Venus in Scorpio, the new moon with both the sun and moon in Scorpio, Mercury retrograde back into Scorpio, all of that opposing Uranus, all of that trining Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, sextiling Uranus, like trining Jupiter. Everybody's talking to each other here.
Everyone's talking and Mercury's in a Kazemi.
True. Yeah.
So
We will get well, I did not even write that down of the day. When
yeah.
does Mercury hit the exact
New moon
when
in
does Mercury
Scorpio Day,
Kazemi hit?
November 20th.
It's on the 20th. Oh my God. So the new moon has wow, bad astrologer. I didn't pay attention to it.
No. There's two of us. That's why.
That's why there's two
Whole
of
point.
us.
That's why there's two of us.
We
Otherwise,
need two eyes on the skies here.
we'd be dying.
Wow. Okay, so when the Kazemi is happening, it looks like the moon has moved into Sagittarius, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. But we do get that Mercury Kazemi in Scorpio, which again, truths being revealed,
More
deep,
conversation.
dark secrets coming
Yeah.
out. It's again opposing Uranus. Like, if these goddamn Epstein files do not get released in November, I am gonna scream. Like,
They're
oh
not
my
doing
gosh.
anything else, right? I mean, the government, surely we can hope.
But also, we're expecting those files to come out. So maybe what actually is revealed is going to be totally different because with Uranus, with the Uranus oppositions, it's something that's completely unexpected.
Yeah, expect the unexpected.
Yeah. So could be something that we are not even thinking about right now.
I think the really cool transition from Scorpio to Sag, because the next day is Sagittarius season, right?
Sag season.
I think Scorpio reveals the truth and then Sagittarius is like what we do with that truth.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, I mean, obviously this isn't before. What I have is that it's Mercury Kazemi, Uranus sextile Neptune. Then on the 21st, the sun opposes Uranus.
Yeah.
But at
right
the same
before it
time, it's
moves into
making a
Sag.
trine with Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
very active end of the month.
The files are revealed. It's not what we thought it would be. But there's this veil of deception.
Like there's still something that's being hidden because Mercury's still retrograde in Scorpio now.
100%.
And that Mercury retrograde.
Sorry, go on.
Well, that Mercury retrograde is going to conjoin Venus in Scorpio, which is giving scandal.
But then the sun is helping Neptune, right? So something helps cover up sun, the sign of the king, the sign of the leader. Ugh, you know what
I hate it here. I hate it here. The end of November, like the beginning of November, it felt like there was a lot, but the end of November, it's just relentless. Every planet talking to every other planet, like,
it's
difficult to even delineate because it's so much going on. But knowing that it's happening in all the water signs and in Sagittarius.
At the end of November, we have something happening like every day.
Oh, yeah. Every single day. As soon as it's like, looking at my notes, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, all the way
Enjoy
down to the
that
30th.
break, the 12th from the 17th. Mark my words.
Relax, rejuvenate,
Do nothing.
rest. It's interesting that Mercury retrograde is going to conjoin Venus so close to American Thanksgiving, because
Yeah.
that I the best case version of that, because it's in Scorpio again. The best case version of that is clearing some air with family members, like being able to kind of revisit a conversation that maybe caused conflict earlier or was tense, and being able to find that Venusian harmony there.
Yeah.
But Venus is also not happy in Scorpio, so there's also the opportunity to just have some really uncomfortable conversations with your family that don't result in harmony and unification.
I see Venus and Scorpio at the Thanksgiving table as like, and so is having an affair with so and so. Like, just literally, like, just the,
You have no room to talk
and
because you're
then
cheating on your husband.
slips out,
Because yep,
slips
and
out
Mars is
for a
in
cigarette
Sagittarius.
after dropping bombs. Like,
Oh,
that's,
I could see it. I could see it. And Mars is still in Sag,
oh,
so,
so,
Mars in a fire sign's always ready to fight.
yeah,
Be careful, you guys. Be
be very.
careful at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Let's give each other grace. But burn some bridges if you want to. Like, who am I to say don't?
The
Yeah.
good note that we end the month in, I think, first of all, there's three good notes. I think Venus trine Saturn is always a happy
Yes.
note.
And Jupiter. Venus is just going to join that grand water trine.
Yeah, yeah. When we
Beautiful.
sub, who gets out?
The sun moves into Sagittarius,
Right.
and then Venus joins the I love, yeah, everyone's like subbing out. I love it. And so it does get progressively more harmonious with,
Yeah.
first it's Mars in that position, then Mars leaves. Mars is a little feisty, a little
Mm,
powerful, a little assassin in Scorpio, and then we have the sun, and then we have Venus bringing that harmony at the end.
nice.
And Mercury. Mercury's there too.
Then she's trining Jupiter and Saturn.
Yes. Yes. And then Mercury stations direct.
And so does Saturn.
Yes, yes. Saturn stations direct on the 27th at 25 degrees and 9 minutes. It's our final station of Saturn in Pisces. So shout out to my Saturn in Pisces later millennials. Our Saturn return is almost
Almost
over.
over. God bless.
So close.
So
It's been a lot of back and forth in Pisces, a lot of Saturn retrogrades in Pisces, but it's almost done.
I can't wait for it to get out of my seventh house.
I bet you can't.
I mean, I have a day chart, so for me, Saturn helps. It helps me out. But it hasn't helped out. I'm gonna blame Neptune. I'm gonna blame Neptune being in my seventh house for like all my relationship deceptions.
It's really interesting that as Saturn is in this final stretch of being in your seventh house, it's in Pisces, you have started going to therapy with the explicit intention of like working on attachment and eventually getting into a relationship. So like you're doing that hard Saturn work. So hopefully when Saturn moves out and moves into Aries, then that's like green light go for you to find a lover.
I'm ready. I just think it's been long overdue. One of the harsh truths of Scorpio season, it being in my third house, I'm a huge truth teller as well. But I think something I haven't been able to tell myself until recently is, I don't think I've ever really been loved properly. Nonetheless, like respected by a partner. So I'm just really ready to experience that. I'm not out here being like, I want to find the one. Like, no, But I would really love to have like a healthy relationship,
Hmm.
even if it ends,
I would.
even if it doesn't last very long. I just want it to be healthy.
Oh, I love that for you. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
On the opposite end, when Saturn leaves Pisces, it's gonna move into my first house in Aries and oppose my entire seventh house Libra stellium.
You have a day chart. And you have a day chart too, right?
No, I don't have a night chart. I'm scared. I have a night chart.
But it's just below.
It I it is dusk. I have like every year around that time, I do kind of pay attention to what the light is like
Yeah.
at the time that I was born, at that time of October.
Yeah.
It's it's a night chart. It's a night chart. Yeah. Yeah. So
We have to
really,
laugh.
really looking forward to Saturn in my first house. Yeah, we have to laugh. It's okay because I've been enduring Chiron in my first house, sitting on my ascendant for so long.
Everyone stays the
But yeah.
longest in Aries and in Virgo,
Mm,
right?
yeah, I need
I read
Chiron to
that
get the
somewhere.
fuck out of there.
But it will be okay. We'll be okay. Saturn doesn't
Yes.
punish without purpose.
And at least it's happening post Saturn return.
Yeah.
At least it's happening post Saturn return. Like Saturn and I have been doing a little bit better at making friends. When I move into my new place, I'm planning on having a lot more altars set up. And so,
Yeah.
Saturn might get
Good. Good.
his
Good.
own
Good.
little altar in my space. Yeah, but Saturn stations direct on the 27th,
Then
and then on the
Mercury
29th,
stations direct.
then Mercury stations direct. And so the shadow period does not end until the 17th of December. So that's when Mercury is
Correct.
going to finally leave the degrees that it had retrograded through. So it'll pass that seventh degree of Sagittarius, but it will be moving direct again in Scorpio starting on the 29th. And also on the 29th, let me get there. Oh my God, I'm still sitting on the 22nd in our view because everything happens so close to one another. It is very
And
much just like all happening basically at once the last week of November. All right, Mercury stations direct and Venus opposes Uranus.
she trines Neptune.
Yes, opposes Uranus, trines Neptune. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So those the last degrees of water signs and then those first degrees of Jupiter. Lots going on.
Yeah.
First degrees of Jupiter, first degrees of Sagittarius. We've been recording for 2 hours and 20 minutes now.
We tried to be
We
concise.
tried. We did. And then on the very last day of November, because something has to happen every single day for the entire
Amazing.
second half of November,
Every single day.
every single day, we do get Venus moving out of Scorpio and into
Hello,
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius.
What do you think of Venus and Sagittarius?
Foreign sex.
Oh, claiming it now. All right.
If you're gonna travel, you might pick up a lover. Or it's just Venus and Mars being in that same sign. It's kind of like, I know they're
So
not
horny.
conjunct, they won't be conjunct for a while, but like horny.
Yeah.
Horny. Wrap it if you don't want a kid, because wait,
Mm,
uterine cancer is also a high birth rate. I can't wait to
yes.
look at those numbers next year and be like, how many babies were born?
Oh
When
yeah, Jupiter in Cancer is big, big baby vibes. So yes, listen
big
to
baby
Mariana
vibes.
Rap it if you're not trying to procreate.
Uh-huh. And if you're traveling and you pick up a little holiday romance, good for you. Good for you.
Yes, be careful not to pick up a little holiday,
STI.
yeah, a little love bug as well. So let's just be real careful.
Yeah.
Be real careful, but also have so much fun.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I think it's, Sagittarians, god damn it. They're also the life of the party. They're a good time. Sagittarians, I call them trisexuals. The try guys, trisexual. Because they'll try anything one.
Yes.
Try anything,
That's
absolutely one.
awesome.
So I think it's fun. I think, it's also it's a really good time to expand your network. Like I said, like far, like foreign, like get a fucking pen pal, write to somebody in Portugal. I don't know. Just like
Mm.
discover something far away from you that brings you joy, because those planets are really good at expanding your horizons in that sign.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know what's really funny about the end of November that I really had not picked up on until I'm looking at this chart here?
What?
We get Grand Water Trine
3.0.
4.0. I think
4.0.
4.0 because Mercury is going to pass back over. And so moving into December, Grand Water Trine energy does not end until we're well into December.
Wow.
Wow, it is just watery up in this bitch. Let's keep an eye
So
out for
funny.
flooding. Let's keep an eye out for more hurricanes. Let's keep an eye out for flash floods, heavy rain, and then the metaphor of all of that being our emotions and our emotional bodies and our energetic bodies. This is a really good time to learn psychic self-defense.
Yep.
I'm talking about the entirety of all of this grand water trine energy. Psychic self-defense, energetic clearing, energetic cleansing, like keeping your energy clear. Like we talked about when we first started recording, this is absolutely a time where you might get other people's energy all up on you. And
Especially
this
this
is a
weekend.
really good time to learn how to clear it away.
Yeah. Yeah. As literally it just started pouring rain.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, in Medellin. Yeah. It's pouring rain.
Send that over here to Arizona. We got some good rain this last month, but we need more.
Well,
Final thoughts. Wow, what a marathon. We recorded even longer than we did last.
it's because we went back, because we looked back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Final thoughts. Love your loved ones. Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love.
Love. Those are my final thoughts.
Take care of each other.
Take care of each other.
Take care of each other.
But government isn't gonna.
It's not gonna, and we're never going back to what it was before. So we just have to keep finding and innovating new ways to take care of each other and to exist.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. So, Mariana, where can people find you if they want to book sessions, learn about your amazing workshop, all that good stuff?
Yes. So right now, what I'm planning to do with the workshop is, I want to, with the presentations, I want to make it a workshop. Eventually kind of maybe do like, some Zoom meetups where we work through grief and explore grief in each other's charts and kind of like help people locate those placements that keep us stuck and the placements that help us move forward and integrate grief, right? So look out for that. I'm on Instagram. I'm only on Instagram at Con Amor de Marte. That is also, you can also type in with love from Mars, and you'll find me on there. I'm currently taking tarot readings only. Soon, hopefully very soon, I'll be able to take on some more astrology stuff. But yeah, right now that's what's up.
Awesome. She's only on Instagram, so don't get scammed
Yeah,
during all this scammer energy.
not on TikTok. That's AI.
And you can find me information about my readings. I am doing tarot and astrology readings, both in person in Tucson, Arizona, and online at persephonictarot.com. Persephonic is Persephonic. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok Actually, I changed my TikTok handle because I'm just shit posting over there. So you can find me on Instagram at Persephonic777.
But people aren't ready for that.
Yeah. I mean, you can find me. Try. Go for it. I think my handle there is Pluto's BFF forever, the number 4.
Love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. First of all, Mariana, thank you so much for joining me today. I love these chats. This is always so awesome. And thank you to everyone who listened to this today. Share in the comments how the October impacted you and what you're looking forward to in November. And we'll see you again next month for December forecast.
See how wild it was. We'll see. Thank you.
All right. Take care. And as always, happy shuffling.